Hey everyone, Nubkeks here, and welcome back to another little design diary type thing where we take a bit of a deep dive into each particular hero and talk about what we would like to see about them changed. I'm just kind of brainstorm theory craft and come up with some new ideas. In today's video, as you can see, up in this direction, we are looking at Leoric. He was one of the heroes that you guys suggested in the previous video, and when I read it, I immediately said, yes, Leoric. Leoric definitely needs a rework. So we're going to talk about... I've already actually designed a rework for him. And I'm going to kind of talk you through that and the thought process. And we'll see what you guys think. I'm actually pretty happy with it. I think it looks pretty good. So here we are in the game. You know, let's just jump straight into the game to start this off. And what I want to do is kind of... First and foremost, in fact, one second, let me switch this to a display capture. There we go. So we're going to see everything. And we can open up, I've got Leoric rework in a notepad, of course, because we're professional. And what I'm going to do is, let's just start out by writing down the things that I wanted to do with this particular rework. One of the first things I want to show you, like what is the theme? What is Leoric cool? What's cool about him? What's he doing? Well, one of the first things I noticed about Leoric when I saw him first was, of course, that he has this absolutely gigantic, massive mace. This is going to play a huge part in this rework. And just check out these animations that he's got in his basic attacks. Look how absolutely brutal they look. He is clobbering this target dummy, in this case, with a gigantic mace. He is absolutely beating the crap out of it. But the damage is really bad. The damage is actually really low. The damage doesn't match up. And well, hang on a second. Let me just make this louder. Listen to this attack animation. Yeah, those sound effects are so good. Those sound effects are so good. You get like this sound of like this meat and the bone squelching with how hard he is hitting things. I think it's definitely reminiscent. He's visually very reminiscent of like Sauron in the Lord of the Rings movies. You know, again with that giant mace that Sauron has, and he just whacks people and sends them flying. So that was kind of like step one, let's say, in the rework here that I was thinking about. Step one is make the mace great again. This is going to be a little bit of a controversial rework, so we'll start off with a controversial thing. I want to make the mace great again. He's got this huge mace. He's got these awesome animations and sound effects. So let's actually have the gameplay match up to that, because at the moment it doesn't. At the moment it really doesn't feel like you're doing anything much with that. I mean, if we go over here, Arthas is almost dead. But like we start, you hit Arthas, you got your Q, your skeletal swing. Again, you do this big mace swing, and it does a big slow, but it's like we're just beating on Arthas here. He's going to die eventually, guys. Don't worry. He's going down. Just wait. Just wait. We're going to take him out with this giant mace. No, we're not. He's actually going to walk away here, which really sucks. I think that definitely takes away from Leoric. At the moment, a huge part of it comes from his W. This, like, the grabby hand. You know, you throw this on, you slow him down, and the grabby hand, it sucks all this life, and it does damage. And that's where a lot of your damage comes from, actually, is from Drain Hope, from the grabby hand. And the max percent HP damage it does up to 25% max HP damage. That is so much of Leoric's damage and so much about what he's about. I'm going to be kind of controversial here as well. I'm going to say remove the damage from W. Remove the damage from W. Why am I saying that? Why? What is going on? Am I insane? Well, no. What I want to do with Leoric is put much more damage into his basic attacks, put much more damage into his Q, make it feel like you're carrying around this big mace. And to do that, the damage has to leave from somewhere else. It has to go away from somewhere else. So I think taking away from Drain Hope, apart from talents, it'll come back into talents, so don't worry about that. If you're upset that I want to take the max HP damage away from Drain Hope, it will be there in the talent build. But I think kind of a baseline thing, I think it limits him too much. And, you know, I think we can work utility into this and still maintain the cool animation and kind of theme of Draining Hope of the W, while then also actually making Skeletal Swing and the basic attacks feel good. So that's a big thing here. Another thing is that, you know, skeletons, I want to make him like feel hard to kill. He should feel hard to kill. He's a skeleton. You think about skeletons in games. Or you think about like zombies or the undead in games. What are they kind of like? Well, very typically with skeletons, and he's the Skeleton King, they're, you know, resistant to slashing damage or resistant to piercing damage. They can often be very difficult to kill, you know, and that's the thing. He's a skeleton wearing a big suit of armor. He should feel really well armored, really difficult to kill. I think this fits in really nicely with the armor reworks that they're doing at the moment and how they're changing up heroes and giving them baseline armor. I think Leoric is the perfect example of someone, a hero that would fit with. Also, you know, classic thing with the undead with skeletons in games is they come back to life. You know, they could heal up or something like that. And I think that's a big part of... That's actually a very cool weapon. I never noticed how cool that weapon was. That's awesome. Wow. Siege Giants. Siege Giants look really cool. I never noticed that before. Never mind. Getting distracted. But yeah, I want to make him very difficult to kill. So you have to kind of work to kill him because he has this natural armor and that he is kind of healing himself. I want to have that feeling of he's this hero that just like keeps coming back to life. You know, the skeleton. You kill it and it just keeps coming back to life and it's just a pain to deal with. And making this kind of scary thing then. He's like this hero. In trade-off, he should be very, very slow. That's going to be his main weakness. In fact, let's write that down. Slow. Main weakness. Hard to kill. Keeps coming back. Keeps coming back. Keeps coming back. And scary. Scry. He's gonna be scry, guys. That's important. No, he's gonna be scary. I want him to be kind of scary. And, you know, have that feeling of like this big, hard-hitting guy. He's very slow. But like you have to work difficult to kill him. But like if you work hard, you can kill him. But if you don't focus him down enough, he will just keep coming back. And he's slow, he can escape, but he's just a scary, hard-hitting dude. And that's kind of the theme I want to bring to this particular rework. So let's see what sort of things I've actually done. Well, first of all, changing the base stats to kind of take account of this. In fact, let's scroll up. Let's put this up at the top. Oh, no, don't make it max screen. You'll see everything straight away. That would suck. And let's bring this down here. Okay. So I've made some pretty big changes to the stats and some to the basic abilities to make up for this. So straight off, right, let's make him this like feel hard to kill. So just 15 armor straight up. Right, 15 armor. Arthas is 15 physical armor. I should also say the numbers in this might not be perfect. You know, they're just supposed to be a rough guideline. So 15 more armor. Spell armor and physical armor. Just 15% resistant to all sorts of damage. To give him that feeling of being this armor-clad skeleton. This slow, hard-to-kill dude. 10% less max HP, though, to kind of make up for that. You know, just to be fair, I think, you know, they'd have to do the same thing with Arthas and with a Nubkeks. If you give people armor, it's just so valuable that you have to reduce their HP a bit. I think 10% less max HP should kind of make up for that. Busy, sorry. Can't type today. Also, this is a bit of a crazy change here, but I said, you know what? There's a really cool talent on Leoric. I think it's really awesome. It's called Fealty Unto Death. And whenever, hey, we got to kill him, nice. Whenever you kill a minion, you get 1% max HP back and 5 mana. In fact, if we swap over here and we look at his talents overall, you can see that is his best talent at level 4 overall. And you can also see he's got 4 talents in every tier, which is a bit of a problem. Like over here, you've got a talent. Here, you've got a talent. Here, you've got a talent. You've got a lot of talents that simply aren't taken. This one's not taken very much. And Imposing Presence, Renewed Swing, also not taken very much. You've got a lot of talents that don't see much picks, many picks at all. And that's a big problem. His talents are in a pretty bad spot right now as well. But this one is kind of cool, you know, and this idea is kind of like Azul, that, you know, when something dies near you, you know, a minion dies near you, restore kind of max health and mana. I thought that's kind of interesting. So what I decided to do is say, let's make a bit of a radical change here. What the heck, you know, let's just remove his natural HP regen. Leave the mana regen so he can actually fight and stuff. But take away the HP regen and make Fealty Unto Death baseline instead. So you're still gonna have healing through your abilities, and I'm gonna actually add a couple of extra ways and talents that you can boost your healing. But for natural HP regen, just a nice cool thematic thing is you only get that when you kill minions. So feeding off of the death. I thought that was a kind of cool little thing that we could put into Leoric. Again, like your base health regen's pretty bad. Like at level 20, you're getting, you know, 11 HP per second. I mean, over 10 seconds, that's, you know, 100. You get 1,000 HP back every minute and a half. Out of 5,000, like it's a really small deal. It really doesn't add up to much. So I think we could remove that and actually just make this Fealty Unto Death like a baseline thing. And that could be a cool little way to kind of set Leoric apart. I thought that'd be kind of nice. And then also obviously interacts pretty well with his trait as well. You know, you want to be on top of minions as they die to heal yourself a bit. And then I said, you know what? Seeing as we got this base armor, let's kind of rework his Wraith Walk a little bit, his E ability here, which at the moment, you know, you become unstoppable. You become a Wraith, you run around, and then you pop over to your Wraith, and it gives you, you know, move speed, and it, you know, it's cool. You become unstoppable. Well, there's this Taloned Hardened Bones. You get armor while you've got Wraith Walk on. I said, you know what? Let's make Wraith Walk a bit of a bigger part of his kit as well. Let's do that. So let's make Wraith Walk kind of double your base armor. So you move from 15 armor to 30 armor when you got Wraith Walk on. So just to encourage people to use it a bit more, to use it as Hardened Bones, because I think Hardened Bones added a lot of cool gameplay. If you watch the pros play, it adds a lot of cool gameplay. I wanted that to be baseline and interact with his base kit. Oh, actually, one thing I also wanted to add, and I forgot to say, was to add, you know, the extra abilities bar. Does he have extra? He does. Hang on. So if we grab this, this, and this. So you see this extra ability bar here. And we can close this off. You know what? Let's grab Entomb for the sake of it. This ability bar, I think, at least at the time of recording, they haven't included the base armor stats on heroes in any way within the game. I think, you know, add an ability. In fact, you could add them on this end, maybe. I don't know, whatever suits. But, you know, just add, you know, a passive ability up here that says, you know, Skeleton King's armor, Armor of the Dead or something. You know, Leoric has 15 armor permanently. And then at number 2, have that fealty unto death. Have that be baseline thing. You know, this talent over here. Have that be baseline number 2. You know, whenever a minion dies near you, you restore 1% health and 5 mana. That could be a cool thing. A good way to display them and have them obvious. I think include a few more passives and stuff up here and make things a bit more clear. Very important with the armor rework, in my opinion. And then have some sort of display behind the health bar as well. Anyway, and then I also wanted to increase his basic attack damage, like I already mentioned. Let's get over to the abilities next. Okay, so some fairly big changes here, like I've already mentioned. I decided, you know, I'll increase the Q damage. So I want Q to feel more impactful, which is important. And then I want it to restore 2% max health per target hit. So work in, again, the numbers might change, but we've got this level 16 talent here. You heal 2% of max health per target hit with Skeletal Swing. I thought this might be too powerful. I might even remove that aspect of it. But I figured, you know, seeing as you got no natural HP regen, that might be a more valuable thing to bring to the team fight. I don't know how fealty to death would work out compared to natural HP regen. So to work in this, you know, maybe consume vitality in some respect to your Q. Now maybe, I think you probably want 2%. 1% probably feels a bit too weak. So 2%, would that be too strong baseline? Potentially that could be just removed. But as it is at the moment, like look at this, right? So your Q, it doesn't hit that hard. And it slows enemies by 40%. That's a big slow for 2.5 seconds. So we do a big slow. As you see, it hits the minions fairly difficult because it's doing double damage. But, you know, against other people, it doesn't do much. For the most part, it's this big slow. It feels really weird. That's what I kind of felt when I looked at this ability. I said, it feels more like a spell than it does a massive skeletal swing. Like you look at this, you're doing like this big skeletal swing. You think that would hit really hard. Instead, it feels more like, oh, I'm waving my magic wand, you're all slowed now. It's like, why does being hit by a mace slow you down for 2.5 seconds? It doesn't make any sense to me. Sure, it's magical, but I don't know. What I want to do is make it feel more like you're hitting someone really hard with a big mace. Like, make it feel more like this massive swing. Make it feel awesome, like this big, hard-hitting AoE ability that people want to dodge. Another idea I had, of course, would be that we could make the slow last maybe 1 second. Like, oh shit, I've just been hit this hard. I'm slowed down quite a chunk for 1 second, but then, you know, it's gone after that. I feel like this big, long slow, it feels too much like a spell, in my opinion, for what it is. I just feel like it doesn't really match. So they could change it up a little bit. That's what I kind of think. Then the Drain Hope rework. I think, you know, I think we keep it's healing you for your max health per second. I said we make it 5% max HP per second, last 4 seconds. So heal you for 20% of your max HP over the duration. This is to sort of balance out the fact that you have armor now. And to make it just a bit more intuitive as to what it's doing per second as well. And then I said, make it do a stacking thing. Make it feel like you're draining the hope. We don't want it to do damage because we want to increase the Q and the basic attack damage. That's where we want the damage to come from. I wanted to reduce the target's move speed and their damage output by 5% per second, stacking up. So the first second this is on you, you're 5%, like it hits you, you're 5% slowed, you're doing 5% less damage. Then every second, the next second, it's, you know, 10% slow, 10% less damage. second number 3, you're doing 15% less damage and you're 15% slowed. And then the final second of it, you're 20% slowed, you're doing 20% less damage. I think this does a few things. Number 1, it makes it useful against heroes that are not warriors. Because let's face it, the max HP healing, or the max HP damage, is most effective against warriors. I'd also, by the way, keep the slow on Leoric, because again, we want him to be slow. This makes it much better if it's doing a slow and reducing damage output. It's still good against warriors, but it's now better against bruisers. It's much better against melee assassins, and then it does something against ranged assassins if you hit them with it as well. Then, you know, you throw it on a warrior, and it no longer becomes this, oh, I must break this leash in order to preserve my HP. Instead, it becomes a choice of, on a warrior, let's say, you get hit as a warrior, you kind of go, okay, well, I'm going to get my move speed slowed, which is a problem for me. And then also, it's healing Leoric. So do I want to break it primarily to stop Leoric from healing, or what? I think that's like a big decision. It makes it less impactful to break it. You're thinking more about like, okay, how will this stacking damage reduction affect me? How will this stacking slow affect me? Do I want to allow Leoric to heal that much? Can we deal with that? I think it's a much more interesting gameplay than, oh my god, I'm taking all this max HP damage, I want to back off. Because it's just, I don't feel like this is the most fun mechanic. I feel like it can be have a bit of a negative impact on the lane and the team fights, and it's just so much is built into actually landing your Drain Hope and getting the channel off, and I don't like that too much. So that is what I would change. I know this is a pretty drastic change, so people might not be a fan of that one, but that's what I think. I don't know if Blizzard would actually ever do this. They're always reluctant to change basic abilities, but this is what I would change. You still have this theme of like, it is draining you. The longer you stay in it, the worse it is. You want to break out of it. But in this more sort of psychological way. And I quite like that, actually. I like the idea of like having the spells be a psychological thing, more so, and then having this more sort of brute physicality to Leoric. Okay, let's talk about talents. What I've done is, well, done a few things. As we can see from his old talents, he's got 4 per tier. In fact, I could do this in-game. You know, he's got 4 per tier. It's too many. Every tier actually has 4, which is really bad. It's too many choices. As we can see over here, you know, we've got a lot of talents that simply are not chosen pretty much ever. It's just a big problem. So what I've done is rework the talent tiers, given each one a theme, yeah, I mean, let's just dive right into it and I'll show you. So at level 1, I said, let's make this a defensive talent tier and let's build it around Wraithwalk. Remember, my version of Wraithwalk is the same as the one in-game, but now it will give you, like 15% damage reduction on top of your 15% natural armor. It's doubling your base armor. So let's make that better. So number 1, I said Lingering Apparition. I try to keep in some the talents that are already there as much as possible, but make them kind of more appealing and fit better. For example, Lingering Apparition is not chosen much. How can we make that better? Which is that it makes your E lasts longer. It's actually chosen in pro play a good bit, so that's kind of interesting. So it's not necessarily an awful talent, though there is some problems with it. But anyway, your E now lasts 80% longer. Hardened Bones, your E now triples your base armor, so you get an extra 15% damage reduction while E is active. Or Bone Collector, get a bit of a quest in there. Each regen globe you collect increases the maximum move speed of your E by 2% up to a maximum of 40%. So basically I say there's 3 choices here. Number 1, you can get 80% more duration on, you know, your slow move speed and, you know, 15 bonus armor from Wraithwalk. You can get that for much longer. So a much more sort of sustained type of Wraithwalk. Alternatively, you get Hardened Bones. So you're going to have a shorter duration. You're not going to be able to move as far or stay in it as long, but it will give you more base armor, 15% more base armor. So, okay, you can choose this to be more resistant to burst damage and smaller movements in the team fight. Or alternatively, Bone Collector, which will make you move ridiculously fast when you press Wraithwalk, so give you really powerful engages or really powerful in-team fight movement. But you're not going to be able to sit in Wraithwalk for as long. You have to do it a bit quicker and think quicker, and you're not going to be as tanky in it as you will be with Hardened Bones. I think that's a nice like little thing here. You see all sort of defensive options, but each one coming at it from a different angle. Again, you could tweak the numbers. I'm not sure exactly how they would work, but should give you a bit of a rough insight. I thought it'd be kind of cool, and to make Wraithwalk a bit of a, a bit more of a key part of his kit. You know, we could knock like two secs off E. We could even knock a couple of seconds off the cooldown of his E ability, make him be able to use that a bit more often. I think that'd be quite nice. For levels 4 and 7, It's fairly standard for Blizzard with warriors, I feel, that they give them like a tanky level 1 talent tier, a tanky level 4. Level 7 is when like the damage and utility comes in. Then 13 is often tanky, and then 16 they got more open options. So that's the same thing I went for with Leoric here. At level 4, you know, let's move away so we don't have all this constant damage from Arthas hitting the wall, kind of annoying us. Let's move over here. Level 4 then, I said, let's make this a healing talent here. Improve the healing that Leoric can have. And this is that sustain. So I said, give him an All Hail the King talent, which is going to double the effects of fealty unto death. So you're by default getting 1% max health and 5 mana restored whenever a minion dies near you. Now, with this talent, you're going to get 2% max health and 10 mana back whenever a minion dies near you. So really amp up his like laning pressure. So this makes you a really powerful laning hero. You know, it's basically the same as getting fealty unto death at level 4 as it is now. It's just on top of it, and it kind of works into this being a baseline thing. I thought that'd be kind of fun, and also somewhat justifies having it up here as this extra button. Also said Willing Vessel, that could be another option, which is, as you see, another level 4 talent currently. But I'm changing it up. That increases all healing effects on Leoric by 20% while Drain Hope your W is active. So you throw that grabby hand on them. You're healing 5% your max HP per second. Again, remember, it's more difficult for them to break it because they're getting just increasingly slowed, right? So it's more difficult for people to get out of that. And they're not taking damage, so there's perhaps also a little bit less motivation to get out of it. But while that is active, all heals that are thrown on you are going to be more effective. So you could use it in the lane, for example, kill minions while it's on you in the lane. You're going to get more healing. You know, your healer, it gives gameplay to the support characters because they want to land their heals on you while your W is active. They get more value out of it. You know, maybe this should be 30%. I don't know, it might be a bit too weak. It'll also just improve the healing of your Drain Hope by default. So yeah, I just thought there could be some way to work in like an amplified healing type thing into Leoric. You could even make it while your W or your E are active. I don't know exactly. But some way to do it. At the moment, this just improves the healing from 25% to 30% of your max health, which is a little bit boring. I thought, you know, having it interact with your support players is a bit more interesting. Just have the healing effects be more powerful while your W is active. We can make it 25%, we can make it 30%. I don't know exactly the numbers, but I just like the gameplay there. Then finally, Assign Renewal, which is, I think it's at level 7 at the moment. Just move that to level 4. So it's a 60-second cooldown. You can activate to heal 20% of your max life over 6 seconds. And yeah, fairly straightforward. So you kind of have the choices, like, do I want more healing in the lane? Do I want to be more of a lane bully? Do I want, you know, a nice chunk of my HP to be healed? That's under my control. It's completely under my control. Or do I want a talent that requires my support to play well with me? And if the support does play well, this will ultimately be more valuable. But if the support doesn't interact well with me, it might not be. So kind of making that choice, you know, what exactly, how do I fit the healing to the needs of the team in this particular game? I kind of like that idea. At level 7 then, I said, we'll make this damage, and we'll make this all about Q, Skeletal Swing, make the mace great again. So let's do that here. So level 7 as it is here, we're going to actually include a lot of the things here. So Gassy Reach is still going to be there. I say increase the Q range by 30%. In fact, we can show this in game. So this is like your default. If we stand here, this might give us on the edge of this might give us a good indication. This is your default Q. Whatever. Gassy Reach. Cooldowns. This is the new range. It's much bigger with Gassy Reach. I said we might even make that a little bit bigger. Make that 30%. At the moment it's 25%. Make it a little bit stronger, 30%, because I'm giving some pretty good ones here as other alternatives. Also said Renewed Swing. You can Q again within 3 seconds for 50% effect. Yeah, this is also another talent in the game, which is here, so you can see it. So, you know, we Q once, then we've got a few seconds, and we can Q again. Now, I said make this 50% effect, so it does half damage, and then if there is the healing built into it, it's only going to heal you for, instead of 2% max health per target, 1%, or if we want to still include a slow with the Q instead of the healing per target hit, make that slow half as effective. And then the other option, Royal Focus, which is another talent here, which is very unpopular. If your body takes no damage from Wraith Walk, the cooldown is reduced to 4 seconds. And then it also increases the damage of your next Skeletal Swing within 5 seconds by 50%. What I said was, make your Q do double damage within 2 seconds of emerging from Wraith Walk. Again, we could tweak the numbers a little bit, but basically the idea here is, how do we want to get more damage with our Q? Okay, we could improve the range by 30%, so it means we're going to do the Q damage. Remember, the Q's hitting harder already. It's going to be more effective at hitting backline targets. It's basically just going to hit more targets more consistently, so we'll get more damage that way. Alternatively, we can Q again within 3 seconds for a 50% effect. So we're going to be worse against these distant targets because we don't have that range, but it's going to be better at dealing with melee targets. So let's say they're very melee assassin focused. Well, we can grab renewed swing, do more damage at close range targets, more slows off of them, or more heals off of them, whichever it is. So yeah, we can go for renewed swing. Or we could get Royal Focus, so a bit more burst damage. And again, that's another reason why I was thinking maybe a bit shorter cooldown on your E. So it gives you this big burst engage. You can go in and then wham, hit them really hard. You get double damage. You get double effect out of your Q. And then it also opens up the question. Let's say if this is 8-second cooldown, we can make this 12, maybe even 10. You know, it kind of opens up the, how do I combo these together? Do I hold off on my Q and my E to try combo them together, or do I split them up, or what? And I think, you know, adding a bit of burst could be kind of cool. I mean, for example, this opens up the idea, even just from these talents, and it's going to be more so with later talents, of, you know, you speed in super quick with Bone Collector. You go, boom, you zoom in faster than they can move in a mount, land on top of them, and then whack, this big meaty Q across the entire team. You do a whole bunch of damage, double damage from that Q. Nice big bursty engage. Could be pretty cool. Level 10 kept the same heroics, no change to them. I think that both heroics are really good. I like them a lot. Level 13 then, I said, let's make this a defensive tier. And let's make this to do with kind of more armor. That idea of being harder to kill, and the idea of like kind of keeps coming back. Let's really push those a bit more as defensive options. So I've got a new talent, which is basically Prescience from Tassadar. I'm calling it Spectral Escape because I couldn't think of anything good to call it, which will auto-activate your Wraith Walk at 30% health. Give it a 60-second cooldown. I'll actually make it toggleable, so you can toggle it on or off, kind of like Spell Shield. So, you know, you get to 30% health, you'll go into Wraith Walk. Now remember, by default, this is giving you 15% more armor, and it's giving you, you can also cancel out of it early. It's also giving you that move speed and everything. So this opens up like a nice combination with your level 1. So for example, Hardened Bones is a pretty cool combination with that. It's that, okay, you know, we go low on health, then suddenly we go automatically into this and get 30% damage reduction. That's a pretty big deal. Alternatively, you know, Bone Collector, we can just zip out of a bad situation and escape very, very quickly. Something like that. I thought it'd be kind of a cool thing and give him that idea of being this difficult to kill hero. Reanimation, I've actually got this rework, so it's completely different from what it was before. Which is after resurrecting from Undying, you gain an additional 15 armor for 15 seconds. So when you do die, in fact, let's go and die to show you the trait, just in case you don't know. But while you die, you're a ghost and you run around, right? Arthas, please kill me. In fact, we don't need you to kill me. We're just going to run over here. Ah, look at us zipping past you. We're going to stand in the towers. So yeah, after you resurrect from Undying, you gain additional 15 armor for 15 seconds. So potentially you could have super duper armor. You've got 15 base, you resurrect with additional 15, and then you could have triple base armor. So you could have like almost be coming out of Undying with, oh my god, we're going to resurrect real quickly. Why are we resurrecting so quickly? Oh, because I got cooldowns off, maybe? Yeah, I think so. But anyway, you're a ghost. Oops, that didn't show it too well. Let's toggle off cooldowns to try again. We've exhausted all the ammo. Of course we have. Arthas, just kill me. Thanks, buddy. I just thought that'd be kind of like a very different type of talent, kind of experimental and niche, but could be kind of cool if you're in a situation where you could die a lot. I know you come back to life after you reanimate on something like Infernal Shrines. Suddenly you got this Leoric with this extra 15% damage resistance on your shrine. That's pretty difficult to deal with. I thought that'd be kind of fun. Then finally, Taste for Death, or Taste, let's say Taste for Death sounds better. You heal for 50% of the damage you sustain during Wraith Walk. So again, also tying into these Wraith Walk talents at level 1, right? While you're in your E, you're going to heal for 50% of the damage you take. Okay, now we're just restoring life really quickly. That's really weird. Why is that? Is that just a try-mode thing? I guess it's a try-mode. I don't know, that's bizarre. Anyway, learning new things every day. Let's move back over here for now. Remove the noise. So yeah, I just thought this is cool. It's like reabsorption for Medivh at level 16, but just for you. So again, you've got this idea of like, okay, if I'm you know, I could tank up even more damage with Hardened Bones and get this big chunky heal. Or I could, you know, it's going to last longer so I can sustain through a bit more damage and heal up more. Yeah, it might need to tweak the numbers. It might be a bit too strong, but I thought that would add a cool little gameplay thing. You know, just, haha, you can't hit me while I'm in Wraith Walk. Or alternatively, it's like you could forgo the base armor, get the move speed, and then be like, well, okay, they want to hit me more while I'm in Wraith Walk because I don't have this bonus armor here, but I'm going to heal up for half the damage they do. So that kind of balances it out. Kind of interesting choices, I hope. Level 16. Let's scroll down a little bit. I'm going for damage here, and some pretty interesting things that kind of bring back some maybe the gameplay for Leoric that you might be missing so far. So I'll just point out, Unyielding Despair I have here. Your W now does 5% max HP damage per second. I think that's pretty reasonable. It's a little bit less damage than W does by default now. You could maybe tweak it up a bit, but bear in mind that it also slows them, so it might be a bit better. But yeah, just, you know, add that max HP damage back to W, because I know people are going to miss that. And I think that's also a cool thing to add at level 20. Like, just draining so much hope that it's actually hurting them. I like that idea, and it fits in with the damage idea here too. I also came up with Spectral Leech, which is a rework of its current level 20, which is OP as fuck. But basically, after your W ends, it empowers your next basic attack to do 10% max HP damage and heal Leoric for the damage done. So it's kind of like blood for blood, but worked into... Again, your basic attacks, working the idea of the maces into this, hitting with your mace, making that a big part of what you're doing. So it's kind of like blood for blood after your W ends. Now, it's after W ends, not if it channels the full duration. So if they break your W early, well then, boom, your weapon gets empowered, and like you have a big glowing effect on his mace, and whack, he hits them, and then does damage and heals him up. That's basically the idea right there. Now, if they stay for the whole W thing, then they're near you, they're kind of maybe in it, you can get them in a good position with the slow that you've got on them, then you go in and, you know, whack them. And, you know, the max HP damage and healing Leoric, it obviously builds into that sort of the old Leoric design of being this anti-warrior sort of tank, because that max HP damage. And, you know, again, maybe not put Drain Hope as a 10-second cooldown instead of 11 seconds, because I don't like odd numbers. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like a little bit weaker than Blood for Blood, but you're getting it off more often. And the enemy has some control over when that's going to activate. I just thought it'd be a cool way to fit into the Leoric idea, and also, again, interact with this base armor that he has. The other option is Crushing Blows, which is a sort of similar enough talent, but it's after you use your Q, it empowers your next basic attack to apply a single target Q equivalent. Actually, when I first did this, I was expecting this to be, maybe let's actually make this a slow. Let's make this and slow for 1 second. Let's make it a 1 second slow, okay? 1 second slow. So I said, okay, we do a Q, you hit them hard, and then your next basic attack becomes empowered. Like, maybe give him a new cool animation, like some massive overhead swing. He whacks them with that, and it just applies another Q. Remember, Q is hitting harder than it did before, so this is going to do a big single target burst of damage. Won't heal you, but it's going to do a big burst of damage. It's going to be up more often than the W. And then it's also going to apply, let's say, apply the slow. And we can make the slow stack. So, you know, you hit them with your basic Q. It does a big slow for 1 second. You hit them with your basic attack. You could stagger it out a little bit for another slow to follow up on that, or whatever. I mean, you could change this to not be a single target Q equivalent. You could just make it hit really hard and apply slow. I just think that would be a cool thing, right? You got this. After W ends, you do max HP damage and heal yourself. Or alternatively, you've got, after you use a Q, it will empower your basic attack. Just hit really hard. Just hit really hard and do a slow. So more useful against like non-tanky targets, let's say. Or if you want a bit more control. And then Unyielding Despair doing that max HP damage per second. That's my idea for level 16. And level 20, we're getting a message. Makes you wonder about your videos. Yeah, I'm setting all this up. It takes a while. And that's not including all the brainstorming. This was just refreshing myself and getting everything set up to record. Big nerd! Give it a thumbs up if you like nerding out, guys, I guess. Level 20 then. I said, let's add some cool options here. I said, Buried Alive. Let's make this a little bit more appealing. We'll say, Entomb now roots enemies caught inside for 2 seconds and deals moderate damage. So, you know, we throw down the Entomb, wham! A whole bunch of undead arms just go rah, and grab you while Entomb first casts, right? So we cast Entomb. Does this have a different effect? Okay, it's got spikes. I mean, you can still have the spikes. And just have, like, the spikes come up. change the animation. Just have the spikes come up and go whing, and then have it be this. Have it root for 2 seconds. I said, how can we make Entomb a bit more? Just add a bit more gameplay to it. So the root means that like heroes, let's say like Li Ming, who can just teleport out of your Entomb normally, catch her in an Entomb. She's now rooted for 2 seconds. It does a little bit of a chunk of damage. And she's stuck there. So that adds some gameplay. Means that they might need to be cleansed out of it. It makes Entomb, in the very late game, more useful against heroes that, let's say, like Falstad could barrel roll out of it. Heroes that can normally escape. They're stuck, not for the full 4 seconds, but just for 2 seconds. So just adding a bit of gameplay there. Maybe you need to cleanse them out of it. Or they need to pay more attention now to Entomb and dodging it. I just thought that'd be a cool level 20. Also, Death March, which is just the same pretty much as it was before. In the current game, I did notice that it is, in terms of win rates, it is a bit lower in terms of win rates than the other options here. So I said, you know what, let's just make it apply, instead of applying Drain Hope on the final swing, let's just have it apply Drain Hope on every swing, and an untalented Drain Hope. So you're hitting heroes, it's going to start healing you loads, and then it's also going to start slowing them down or reducing their damage. That might be a bit too powerful. Maybe like a half effect Drain Hope or something like that. I'm not sure, but I like the idea, and I think maybe each swing doing it might be a bit too powerful. I don't know. Maybe half effect, and that would be, I don't know. They'd have to test it out and see. Then I thought, let's go for a couple of cool thematic talents for Leoric. I said, from beyond the grave, you can now use all your normal basic abilities for half damage while undying. And remember, they do hit harder, so it lets you, while you're dead, zip around and wraith walk. It lets you, use your W to heal yourself up. It lets you use your skeletal swing. Maybe not the half damage. Actually, let's just use all your basic abilities while undying. I like that. So it's like, he's dead, but you can't escape from him. He's still zipping around in his E. His Q is still doing damage. Maybe make them untalented, but you're still doing this big Q damage, even while you're in Wraith Walk form. And then you're still sucking the life out and maybe healing a bit quicker. Or then the other option I had was Defy Death, right? Is it makes healing effects triple during undying. So it just makes your death last much less time, so you can heal yourself up much quicker. I don't know, I was throwing out some kind of cool, crazy level 20 ideas that would be a little bit fun. Yeah, I don't know, I thought that'd be kind of interesting. I think, Hardened Shield, remove that because we've already got armor built in already much earlier in his kit. And then Spectral Leech is a bit too powerful. I think that was kind of a problem, is that if we look over here, it does have the highest win rate. Buried Alive, actually, funnily enough, has a good win rate too. But Spectral Leech can be a bit annoying to play against. But there you go, guys. That is the rework for Leoric that I would propose for the game. I think it's pretty cool, but let me know what you guys think. So, just to sum up, what I want to do is make the mace feel great again. We want his basic attacks and his Q to hit much harder. Make it feel like you're being smacked by a gigantic fucking mace, because that's what's happening in the game. You're being smacked by a mace that's the size of Leoric, and Leoric's already pretty big. That should hurt a lot, so let's make that a thing. We're going to have to remove the damage from the W to compensate for that, though. I want to make him feel harder to kill, and like this hero that keeps coming back. He's very scary, but also very, very slow. So, to do that, just baseline armor, make him much tankier, less max HP to balance that. No HP regen naturally, but you get HP back from killing minions, just a cool thematic thing. And then make Wraith Walk, double your base armor, so interaction with that base armor we've given him, make Wraith Walk, tongue twister, kind of a bit of a cooler ability to use, and reduce the cooldown a little bit so it's used more often. And then we want to increase that basic attack damage, like I said. Also, improving the Q damage, and make the slow last less amount of time, so it feels less like you're doing a magic spell, and more like you hit them really hard, and they're slowed because they're shocked that you hit them so hard. Make it more physical. Drain Hope, make it more psychological. It's still healing you, then it's reducing their move speed and their damage output, fitting a bit more into this sort of bruisery warrior role. Then we got the talents at level 1. We got this all focused on your E ability, your Wraith Walk, defensively. Do you want it to last longer? Do you want it to be a kind of more burst tankiness, or do you want it to be more burst move speed? Level 4, healing. Do you want to get more lane sustain? Do you want to get more sustain from our healer? Or do we want to have just some consistent sustain that we have complete control over? Level 7, damage through his Q. More range, so it's more consistent on more targets. a renewed swing, we can Q again, so it's more effective against melee targets. Or royal focus, just give it more of a burst Q. So again, like, I've got this idea of like this sort of burst build you could have, like Bone Collector. You zip in super fast, they can't really escape, so it's scary, right? You zip in, they can't really escape. You whack them with your double damage Q. You throw... no, you don't even need to throw W on them. Hit with your double damage Q. Throw the Entomb down. Then whack them with your crushing blows. And you hit them really hard. A whole bunch of burst damage. Then the W on them, you start draining their hope. I just think that's a cool thematic thing. I think it's cool. Same heroics then level 10. Level 13, some cool defensive options. Playing with the idea of like Death and Wraith Walk again. So Prescience, basically you auto-activate your Wraith Walk at 30% HP. Plays in with his level 1 talents. Taste for Death, you heal for half of the damage you sustain during Wraith Walk again, playing with this level 1 talents, but then a bit of a different one, Reanimation. When you come back from the dead, you gain additional armor for 15 seconds, so you become much tankier, and you can kind of play around, and maybe it would work on certain maps. Again, like Infernal Shrines, you got this super tanky Leoric on the Shrines. How do you deal with that? I thought that'd be kind of fun. Level 16 then, a whole bunch of damage. Keep the old W doing max HP damage with Unyielding Despair, pretty cool. And then 2 things that empower his basic attacks. Again, make the Mace Grace again. Spectral Leech. So this one's focused on max HP damage and healing Leoric. Or then Crushing Blows, which is focused on just more flat damage and then applying a slow as well. Then level 20, pretty much the same heroic upgrade, just making them a little bit better, you know, a root on Buried Alive, so that Entomb becomes scary to more heroes, but not so scary that it's just, you know, painful to play against. Then Death March, making it a bit better, and Talented, you know, maybe 50% effect, Drain Hope, because I think it would be a bit too powerful otherwise. So just, you know, Death March becomes your March of the Black King starts, you know, healing you for loads and slowing down the enemies and reducing their damage, like a super cool warrior ability then. From Beyond the Grave, you can use your basic abilities while undying, so you become much more mobile while you're dead. You do more damage, you do like consistent damage when you're dead, and you can reduce people's damage and slow them down and stuff. Could be, I know that could be annoying to play against, so we'll see with that one. I just thought it'd be kind of a cool thematic thing to at least throw out there as an idea. And then Defy Death, which is more reasonable, I think. Triple the effects of all of your healing while you are dead, so that you just resurrect much quicker. There you go, guys. That is Leoric. That's what I think about him. I mean, alternatively, you could have some sort of like redemption type Uther talent, you know, 5-minute cooldown, you know, when you die, you just instantly resurrect. I think Defy Death might be a bit more kind of intriguing to Leoric's playstyle, though. And there you go, guys. That is my ideas, or they are my ideas for a Leoric rework. I hope you guys enjoyed that one. Let me know what you think down in the comments below, especially if you are a Leoric player. What would you like to see? It's just, people had asked me to do a video on Leoric, and I really did feel like with his current design, well, first of all, his win rate's pretty bad. His talent design is obviously very old, where we've got these clunky talent tiers with too many talents. They're a bit all over the place. And then I felt like his abilities and what he does in the game, I think since they had to nerf him from when he first released, I don't think it really matches up anymore to the animations and the sound effects, and really I feel like to the idea of what Leoric should be. He feels like too much like this walking mage right now. He feels very magey, and I don't think that's good. I think you can have Zool do a similar thing to Leoric, but feel like more of a mage. I feel, honestly, just my opinion on Leoric, he's a dude with a giant fucking mace. He should feel much more physical. That's what he should be. Anyway, thanks for watching, everyone. I will see you all next time for more Heroes of the Storm. Once again, give it a thumbs up if you do enjoy these nerding out videos. Fuck, this one was long. I didn't realize it was going to be so long. Sorry. I'll see you all next time for more Heroes of the Storm. Bye-bye.